Welcome everybody to AD&D After Dark. I don't know. This is the AD&D Second Edition channel. This is D&D After Dark. We're hosting it here tonight because we don't have access to the other channel, but maybe it'll migrate over there at some point. We don't necessarily know that. We have We Roll Dice. This is Stu, and we have Rivers RPG channel. Is that correct?
Yes.
What's happening?
Nailed it. Yes, I nailed it. All right. So we're just here hanging out, talking about D&D, talking about D&D kind of stuff, and that's it. And I don't know what you guys want to talk about first, but this is a pretty open format situation right now. Why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us about your channel?
Well, you were saying you wanted to... okay. Hey, I'll go first. I'm Stu, your host of We Roll Dice. I like to do a lot of unboxings. I focus on anything from D&D to Games Workshop like Warhammer, 40K, Age of Sigmar, things as such. And basically, I like to put together models and paint them and maybe show you a little bit about what you can get or how creative you can get with it.
All right.
Rivers?
And I am Rivers from the Rivers RPG channel. I cover a lot of D&D. I do unboxings of a lot of miniatures, D&D miniatures, Pathfinder miniatures, anything that looks good on the gaming board. I'm all for that. I'm learning 5th edition still. I play 3.5 usually. So, and at conventions, I'll play anything from 1st edition to 5th edition. So I don't get a chance to play very often. I usually DM.
And I'm Canadian Retro, but on my channel, it's AD&D Second Edition, and I'm pretty much a re-emerging D&D player. So I played it back in the 90s with my buddy We Roll Dice and a couple other people back in the day, like early 90s, and couldn't really find people to play with and sort of left it alone for a very long time. And then it sort of came back into my conscious very recently, and I've been in full steam. So I'm trying to learn 5th edition. I still play 2nd edition games with my buddy MC Murr, and we do that online actually. But that's pretty much the setup that I've got going right now. I've also figured out how to paint midis, so I've been doing that recently, and just jumping right in. I've been doing some crafting lately and trying everything I can do to sort of get myself set up, and looking to start DMing very soon. So actually, I'm probably the least, I don't know what you call venerable or whatever of the people here. That's what I'm doing about this. So at the same time, we don't have any particular topics that we're going with tonight.
I've been a DM for about 30 years.
Yeah, so there you go. And the last time I played prior to about March of last year was 30 years before that. So that's where I'm at with it. But that being said, you can see that We Roll Dice is working on something, and I see that, Rivers probably has some projects under his belt going on right now. So what do you guys got going on right now as far as like crafting, DMing, building, whatever you're doing?
Well, for myself, due to, self-isolation and all the rest of that jazz, I haven't had a chance to really be playing much D&D. I usually host a weekly game here at the house with a group of friends that really been friends since high school. And we just finished Lost Mines of Phandelver. Normally we were a 3.5 group, D&D 3.5, but decided recently to just make the switch to 5th edition just for some new, fresh material. And that Lost Mines of Phandelver is a great way, in my opinion, for both players and DMs to learn 5th edition. I think it's got a lot. It kind of walks you through as a DM.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to pick your brain about that.
Backlog of miniatures.
Yeah. Piles of shame.
I've been going through my backlog of miniatures, putting together as much stuff as I can. Yeah, I have a few things. If anyone wants to check out my channel at We Roll Dice, you'll see I have a basement full of shame. I've got a few videos on that. But yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. Just trying to trying to get through this time and get through as many models as I can.
And
Rivers,
if you check out, if you've been checking out MC Murr's channel or my channel, that's that AD&D second edition. You know that We Roll Dice tried to send me a whole bunch of things. I won something in his, and I think I gave him more things in return to unload. So he's trying to unload his basement, and I loaded it up with more stuff I didn't need because I'm not a Warhammer guy, so I gave a bunch of Warhammer stuff. So that's it. And then on to Rivers. What are you working on, man?
Well, I have a 3.5 game that I DM. We used to meet monthly, but because of what's going on, we did Discord and Roll20 last month, and the 18th is looking like the date we're going to get together again online. And I DM for 10 players, so it takes a little bit of work to get it ready. And I do have some. I have some my own shame here. These are
10 players.
Yeah, I got some minis here that are still in the packaging that need to be painted, that I actually bought for the players.
Lovely.
Well, I actually didn't buy them. I went to a convention and I got them basically for free.
Wow.
So it was sweet. And one's a ninja and the other's a female sorceress. And that's why I got them, because we have those in our party. And I just haven't gotten around to painting them yet. So
they don't paint their own minis?
Well, they're my minis. I'm not going to give them to them. Because
like
they actually...
I guess you can't invite them over for a session in day and age, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. They actually played online before because they're in Florida. I'm in Pennsylvania. We have one in Michigan. So we have cameras set up on the table, looking down on the table, and cameras. There's a web camera on the computer that we do the hangouts on. That's how we used to do it before everything. We had 6 people in Pennsylvania, 4 in Florida, and 1 in Michigan.
Wow, that's tight.
And so to make it work, we have 4 different cameras going at the same time, and they can control what they're seeing on the board. And so these minis, I have a decent mini collection now, and these will go into my collection. But I got them for the players as their avatars, you could say. And I just haven't painted them yet, so they haven't hit the boards. But we're getting there. So that's my
insane. I need to pick your brains about that, and I'm sure MC Murr would be interested in that. He's in the chat right now. I don't know if you guys can see that. But because I was saying before, we played that second edition game.
No, I can't see that.
Yeah. So he's in the chat right now, but yeah, so I mean, I want to sort of pick your brains a little bit about how you do that whole thing, because we'd really love to get some streaming going on. We've been working on it. We've had different sessions. We tried to record them. And he said that back here in the chat, I just got to check it out. But he basically said that you know, you've had some difficulties basically recording it. So that's about it. Like that's the gist of it. We've tried to work out a few different things, but you know, mics were off, or this didn't work, or that didn't work, and so it takes a little bit of coordination. We're working on it, so we're gonna have some interesting stuff coming out on the AD&D Second Edition channel at some point. Hopefully, a whole bunch of me befuddling my way through a world that MC Murr is DMing, and that's basically what's going on with that. As far as
big thing that I found with
using.
Sorry, big thing that I found with using the overhead cameras when you're streaming, because I was a player when that was happening. It made it a lot easier, because you can't really make out the miniatures a lot of times, for us to have different colored bases. So it was really easy to pick out where your character was, or your party members and whatnot. I guess that all depends on how good your cameras are, but.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we're just basically using webcam, stuff like that. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? You work with what you got, unless, you know, I can't really start a GoFundMe right now considering world conditions. I don't think anybody's going to support it. So we'll go with what we got, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not the technical guy to talk to.
Yeah.
I just show up and DM. So that's what I do. They tell me if there's a problem, and I try to solve it. But the technical issues, we have an IT guy, we have an electrical engineer, and we have a mechanical engineer down in Florida. So they work out all the technical details. I just go along and I tell them if I can hear them, because I have hearing issues, and we put the speaker right behind me, a Bluetooth speaker, so it blasts me, and it's like, yes, I can hear you. You're good. Okay, let's go ahead and get gaming.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right on, right on. So I'll try to figure out really what Stu's working on there. Trying to figure out what you're working on there.
Yeah, well, really difficult to probably see. What I'm working on is Neve Blacktalon is her name. It's a Age of Sigmar miniature, basically a female Stormcast Eternal that has 2 hand axes and nice big fur cloak on her and whatnot. So, it's might not be able to completely see it as I'm working here, but I just figured put in some hobby time while we're doing this chatting.
Sure. So on a personal level, what's more interesting, building or painting?
Ooh, so for myself, those are both of my favorite things to do in the hobby, is to build and to paint. The game, when it comes to 40K or Age of Sigmar, is kind of secondary for me. I'm a casual gamer. I'm not a play to win kind of guy. I'm not a tournament player. I will go to tournaments, but my goal anytime I step up to the table is to have my opponent laughing for the entire game, if at all possible. And I also have a tendency to play my armies in the narrative style. So if I'm playing a Khorne army, I'm just charging across the table, blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne kind of thing. When it comes to D&D, I'm usually the DM, so I'm used to not winning per se. I mean, and there's no winning. It's winning as long as your players are having a good time and they want to come back. So it doesn't bother me when I have a game if I'm not the victor.
Oh, okay.
But, I will try and have fun with what I have. Don't get me wrong.
Cool.
Yeah, I haven't played Warhammer for years. I think it was 2nd edition whenever I stopped playing. I have
wow, yeah, a long time ago, yeah.
I don't know how you pronounce it. Tyrannid.
Tyrannid,
yeah.
That's the only word I know from Warhammer.
There's Tyrannid, Nids, bugs. There's some people call them Tyrannids. Some people call them Tyrannids, and others call them Tyranids. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a bug army.
I mean, it's spelled like tyranny, right? Tyranny.
Right.
Nice.
Which is they're probably half painted, but I forget.
They're made in England, anyways, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so we're probably all pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah. This is true.
Well, they're designed in the UK, depending on which kit you get. Some of them are designed in the UK but built in China.
Oh.
But there's a lot of them that they're designed and built in the UK.
Yeah. But that's why I like to go to conventions, so I can actually play a game instead of DMing.
Yeah, really.
I'm the other way around. I'm trying to jump into DMing. Well, I can only play it.
Phantasm's canceled.
Yeah, I can only play at home, right now. So
yeah.
I mean, other than my games with Mur, but if I want to play a person-to-person session, I'm gonna have to get my wife and child into it. So, but we're gonna do that. That's gonna be the Lost Mines of Phandelver. I don't know, Rivers, if you've done that, because you're playing 3.5. So I don't know if you migrate things from 5th into 3.5 or how you roll. But
if I see something I like out of it, I'll steal it. because I have my own world. Well, it's actually the world of Mystara from
Yeah.
first edition. I have world maps, so that's what I use as my world, and then I just incorporate things from other editions as I see fit, and I just like to bring everything's in that I think is cool. I'll bring it in, and I know there's certain miniatures that are for the 5th edition minis, basically, but I get them and I'll incorporate them into our game session somehow. If I don't have stats on it, I'll make them up. But usually I can find something online that can convert easily enough.
Like if you've seen sort of what do you call it, like migrating, but like downward migrating from 5th to 3.5, you've seen things that do that?
Yeah, that there's ways to do it. So it's usually I go online and I'll look up the stats for the creature and convert it into 3.5, and it's still the same deadliness as it is in 5th edition.
So it translates really well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
And I think.
So go ahead.
I think the
one thing I've noticed
with.
Sorry.
The 5th edition also translates pretty well into 1st edition, or actually, I guess 1st into 5th translates pretty well, because we had a friend of ours that DM'd a 5th edition game, but it was a 1st edition module, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was curious about that, just because being a 2nd edition player, never playing any other edition other than that, and then jumping into 5th, it's like mind blowing the powers you have in 5th compared to 2nd edition. It's really just it's mind boggling. I'm like, wait a minute, I can do damage with cantrips and stuff. Like, what? I thought cantrips were like lighting lights and making like tree limbs glow,
but
or
just
something.
To put it out there, something like a zombie in 5th edition has like 24 hit points.
Yeah, but the amount of damage you can do at first level is unbelievable.
But it all scales together is what I'm getting at. Like skeletons and zombies, like these things that you're used to just walking up and easily slaughtering, have a lot more hit points. Like even a goblin is +4 to hit now,
right?
And as opposed to before they were either 0 or +1. Like it is all the monsters are quite a bit more powerful now too.
Yeah, for sure.
Dry for a bit as I have a beverage.
So I think because you can still in 5th you can still do something that makes you fail. So it's kind of it's interesting in that regard, and the way that something like that could have an effect on you. So I think kind of maybe it opens up a lot of possibilities. I don't know, because I know there's a lot of purists of like 1st edition people in this group, the Discord group. So I don't know if it's suitable for D&D After Dark, but hey, it is dark enough in here. So
yeah. But you're mentioning Lost Mines of Phandelver.
Absolutely, because I'm planning. I've never played it, which is kind of a bummer. And I know some of the people in the Discord want to do a game of it. I'd love to play through it first before I actually DM it, since I've never DM'd much of anything since the 90s. So I'd love to play through it first, but I feel like I haven't played it, and I'm reading through the adventure, and I'm like thinking like, okay, so how do I do this? How do I build terrain and stuff like that? And I'm like, meanwhile, I'm like spoiling it for myself, so I don't want to read any further. So I'm at the goblin encounter, because basically I've seen all that on YouTube a number of times, so it's not a surprise to me, that first encounter. But after that, I'm kind of like, I don't really want to read any further, because I don't want to ruin it for myself if I'm going to be playing it, and I don't want to be like that guy that knows everything about it before I play it, and that that kind of scenario.
Well, I think you said it right about ruining it for yourself as well. Like you don't. I never want to know an adventure before I play it. I mean, yes, you can role play it out and role play what your character knows, but there's just something about figuring out that puzzle, following certain clues and getting little bits that to me, that's the enjoyment of playing.
Yeah.
And so I can completely understand not wanting to know too much about it before.
At the same time, I mean, it's all up to decisions people make or whatever. You can still play it, take a back seat, and don't metagame or whatever you like to call it, especially when you know everything about it. You kind of sit back, let other people make some decisions, you know, and even if they're to your detriment, you could just be like, okay, let's go with it and see where it goes and play off of those things.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I go to conventions and I'll play games that I've played years ago, and I guess it's fortunate enough for me, or unfortunate enough, however you want to look at it, that I totally forgot what happened in the game, and I don't remember the module that well. And so it's, you know, I don't have to metagame much at all. I just play my character, and I don't metagame because I don't remember. So
I'm with you on that. That's for sure. That's why I started both of my YouTube channels, is because I didn't want to basically make a spreadsheet of when I got like all the video games and everything else. And I think I've mentioned that numerous times, but that's essentially why any channel I've started just because my memory is shot. Yeah. So it's like, hey, I can look back and figure out what I paid for that or when I got it or whatever. And I'm too lazy to and it's too boring to make a spreadsheet. So.
Yeah.
But anyways,
excellent. I really did enjoy Lost Mines of Phandelver.
Like, would you say?
Not sure if I'm getting a little bit of lag going here, retro or not.
I think you're fine
right now, rank? But what would I say that it ranks? I say that as far as adventures that I've ran, it's up there. It's really enjoyable. Now, my favorite was second edition Dark Sun, but I'm a big psionic fan. I know that's a touchy subject with some people, psionics, but I really enjoyed it. I did the whole Freedom campaign in second edition with the flip books, if you remember them at all. So that you had like a player's handout and you had the DM's handout, and so you could flip to the different pages to show them maps or pictures of different spots and locations. But this Lost Mines of Phandelver, it's up there. I would definitely run it again with a different group. It's easy enough, but there's enough meat there, especially being in the Sword Coast where it is near Neverwinter and Neverwinter Wood, that you could add so much more of your own game into it. Now, 30 years worth of DMing, most of that time was in my own homebrew world, with the exception of the second edition portion of Dark Sun. So I don't have a whole lot of experience running pre-written adventures because I've just, to be completely honest with you, I do some prepping here and there, and then maybe 15 minutes before the players show up, think of a few other things, and then from there it's a lot of just ad-libbing. But for learning 5th edition, I think it's the best way to go for both players and DMs.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was reading through the starter set, and I've read through. I mean, I'm familiar with the 5th edition Player's Handbook. I haven't really read through the DM's book yet, but I have read that online resource, which is the sort of shortened version of the rules. So it's not the same thing that's in the starter set. It's probably a little bit more, or a little bit less. I can't remember the name of it, but I've read through that basically when I jumped in and was like, I'm going to be playing 5th edition. I need to know something, and I kind of read through that. How much I recall of that is kind of dicey, but that's a really valuable resource right there, though, to understand the rules if you haven't even bought a starter set. But right now I think they're going pretty dirt cheap, and I've found a few of them in the thrift shops already. So
Yeah, I think I got mine on Amazon for $14.
Yeah, I think I did the same actually.
Yeah, I have the Essentials.
Rivers, do you
box.
do a lot of your own campaign?
Yeah, it's all homebrew. I don't use
Like your own
modules.
homebrew?
Yeah, I don't use modules except to steal ideas out of them.
I was gonna say, do you cherry pick? Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, okay. That's,
Yes.
I mean, you got it. That's smart, man. Like that's
Yeah,
where it's at.
it's I started back in 87, 88 at DMing, and I never used a module back then. Since then, I've collected some modules that I have, and I've read through them, and I steal ideas out of them.
Yeah.
And I just, I have the Essentials kit for the 5th edition, and I'll probably go through there and read through it and steal ideas out of there too. But it's all homebrew for me. It's whatever comes up into my head. So makes it interesting.
I mean,
Yeah,
in a
it's
way,
just
that's
so much
pretty great.
easier as a DM.
Yeah.
I can tell already that I'm having a little bit of lag issues here with my camera, unfortunately, with the talk. So sorry if I end up cutting you guys off every once in a while. It's not intentional.
No problem.
I don't think so. I think it's perfectly fine. But that's the way it goes.
Yeah. So what are some of your? I'm going to change the camera here. What are some of your fears when it comes to DMing? They're retro.
I think it's just basically like I don't want to get stalled or have to look something up. And honestly, like the two people I'm playing with, my wife's never played D&D, my son's never played D&D, so they wouldn't know if I just ad-libbed my way through the whole rule set. Like they would have no idea. But I want to try to run it. I'm not a perfectionist by any stretch of the imagination, but I do want to do the rules justice to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like, and make sure I'm trying to, if I'm showing them the game, I want them to understand the game, and I want to understand the game better too. Like I'm saying, from 2nd edition to 5th, yeah, I understand the general idea, but there's a lot of things that are completely different. Like there's different roles I've got to learn and how to manage that and when do certain things apply. And it's not easy, like especially when I'm so out of the loop for so long and really only played like I can count them on my my hands basically how many sessions I've played since the 90s. So
right.
And that's just as a player, not even
DMing. Yeah, but it's the kind of thing where you just got to jump in, you got to play. When it comes to Lost Mines of Phandelver, the great thing is with that whole goblin ambush, between starting your adventure hook, which in my campaign we started in a tavern. I mean, you don't have to. I did the standard, but my players really like taverns and they really like tavern brawls. I don't know why. It's they typically fight in almost any. But that's my players. They're a bunch of murder hobos. I love them. Don't get me wrong. I love the guys. We laugh our butts off, but they're basically a group of murder hobos.
Seems like a good way to level up.
Well,
they
think, but I do milestone advancement is how I do mine, and that's how I've done mine for 20 odd years. I used to sit and meticulously count out experience points, but now I just go, they're going to get about this level, because sometimes fighting isn't the best way to solve the situation, and a lot of times you just get awarded experience points for
defeating or
accomplishing whatever. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be killing the creatures, but I generally just do milestone experience points every few gaming sessions. Here's another level, and then as they get higher levels, maybe after a month of gaming sessions, they get a level, and then maybe it's 2 months if we're up around the 10th level mark or whatever. But yeah, it's you only need to, in Lost Mines of Phandelver, you only really need to read just a certain amount ahead. You don't have, it's good to maybe read through the adventure once and familiarize yourself a little bit. Once you hit, there's like a big sandbox portion, like open world, they can kind of go wherever they want. You'll kind of, hopefully you can read your table and read your players to know what direction they might want to go. Like I knew my players would definitely go to Cragmaw Castle after Cragmaw Keep, so I worked that in. Like after they went to Phandalin, I had it so that they dealt with the red brands after. I know maybe if you haven't read that far, but the spoilers.
Like I said, I read to the goblin encounter. So
yeah. So, but then my party, once they were deemed like heroes of Phandalin for doing certain things, then they started to kind of exploit the fact that they were the heroes and wanted a bunch of free stuff, and they'd go to the tavern. And so eventually they started noticing that the tavern had less and less patrons showing up because of them being there, and they almost became as big of a problem for the town as the gang that they cleared out of the town.
okay.
So I made that so they're well aware of that, and people, they go to talk to people, and people were really sheepish when they were talking to them and fearful and didn't want to upset them because they knew that they'd draw their sword and possibly threaten them. But then they brought it all back around because of the one wizard at a tower, and due to what the wizard had. And so anyways, I don't know how much of this you want me to spoil on you if you're planning on trying to play it.
Well, I think that on the Discord, we were planning on playing it. I don't know how that works exactly, so I'm still trying to figure it out. They were planning on.
Okay, I won't spoil. I won't spoil too much then.
No, I mean, I'm probably not going to remember any of it anyway, so it's fine. I mean, I know the names of the different places and like Cragmaw this or whatever. Like I've gathered that, but honestly, like as far as the rest of the adventure goes, I have not read through it. When you talk about it, I'd have to read through it or play through it to actually know it. It's not really a spoiler. It's like saying there's an Avengers movie and there's like this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, and it like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Right.
I get it anyway.
I really played into the fact that Phandalin.
Yeah.
I really played into it that Phandalin was their commerce was really lacking because the miners in the local area couldn't get down the path out of the mountains to them because there was a red wizard of Thay that was at a tower trying to figure out who created the tower and gain power through that. So he had a bunch of undead that was kind of protecting his area. But the reason the undead was there was to protect a local orc encampment that kept trying to raid against him. So he had to have all these undead to protect him while he was doing his research. So therefore the players made it, instead of killing the red wizard, the players made a deal with him to vanquish the orcs so that he could lessen his undead guards, allowing the miners to come back into town and bring up the commerce of Phandalin, which then brought them back into the favor of the townsfolk because, again, they were drinking and eating everyone at a house and home and demanding respect and threatening people. Again, bunch of murder hobos. Love you guys if you're watching, but you know you are. So, yeah, it was a good time. A lot of laughs. Don't get me wrong, a lot of laughs. And the cleric had an affair with a bugbear and a halfling, and that kind of got a little sketchy. But then the bugbear ended up showing up later on, and they used her as an ally when dealing with the spider, which that's far down in the adventure. When I mean the spider, it was like a character named the spider. So yeah, lots of fun.
Well, I think I jumped in that on one session, right? That was part of that, was it not? When I was playing with your group.
Were you there with the whole bugbear in the mines itself?
No, we were in a basically like a town,
I think you
and
did.
we got attacked by we were attacking a green dragon, and that's basically where I left. A young green dragon.
Yeah, no, that was in Thunder Tree. So yeah, that was up in Thunder Tree with the cult that you were dealing with. There was the Cult of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And if anyone knows about the Cult of the Dragon, they basically, what they do is they try and find dragons that agree to become Dracoliches, and they help perform those rites. So they were in there trying to get that green dragon to agree. Venom Fang was the dragon's name, to try and agree to eventually become a Dracolich. And the party never ever did defeat that dragon at that point. Instead, I drew up a whole underground layer that eventually they went through and did. So even though the campaign was great, I added a lot of homebrew stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it. For sure.
It's a lot of fun. I love homebrew. I always do.
Yeah.
So Rivers, what are you working on as far as DMing then? Storylines are you running through? No spoilers, I hope, for anybody that's watching, but
well, they've been tracking it ties in a timeline of over 250 years in the world that they're in, and these old characters, or these old adventurers who died years ago, left clues on what's going on in the world today. There's actually a party. The big bad guy used to be friends of these old characters, or these old adventurers, and what they know is that he was trying to take over the world now, and so their goal was to try and stop him. But in order to do that, when they started off at level 1, they were searching for this one guy who stole a magic item from the wizard school in Glantry, and they were trying to track him because this item also made it so that they couldn't track him using spells. The only way you could do it was to track him old-fashioned way of going to the last spot he was at and trying to find clues on which way he went, asking people and going that way. And they end up circling the globe, basically searching for this guy, and they finally caught up to him, and he turned himself over to them, and it turns out he's going to end up working with them to help try and get more clues, and they're trying to collect artifacts to go fight the big bad guy.
And do you have a lot of experience with like NPCs basically going with your group, or like joining groups?
Yeah, I have
players. Yeah, how does that play out usually?
I have an NPC that started with them at first level. He was higher level than them, and he basically got them going. And when we first started this adventure, we had, I think it was 5 players, and our group grew, or maybe 6 players, and our group grew, and now we have 10 players. So we've kind of added characters to the mix. So my NPCs have kind of drawn back, and the NPCs are there to give them clues, help them out here or there, and sometimes even give them misinformation.
Okay, and so you level them up as they're going along. So do you do like what Stu was saying, basically a milestone, or do you count up?
No, I do experience points.
You do?
And,
yeah. So
yeah.
do they gain experience points as well, like in order to keep them at level with your group, or you just kind of make it up?
Yeah, they gain experience along with them. I give the party their experience points, and I give the NPCs their own experience points. And so they keep level with the group, or a step ahead of them.
Yeah, because they started a step ahead. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's the NPCs are there to leave little nuggets of clues and try and I don't want to say railroad, but kind of just get them in the right direction and occasionally bail them out.
If you railroad without them knowing that you're railroading.
Yeah, because
Well, I mean, it's hard to plan
Right. I
for
mean,
every
you got to
eventuality,
keep
right?
the illusion that it's their
Oh.
choice.
Yeah, and there's sometimes where I've had a session where I've had something planned and they go off the rails, and I totally had to make up a whole session off the top of my head that I hadn't planned on, and then we get back into something I did plan. But that's so hard to plan for, is the unexpected, and
It's
that's
almost
where
like you should plan out like a dungeon, a field, a roadway, like, and just think of every
trying to think of every
the nether
possible
region,
scenario.
whatever you need, like to.
And a tavern brawl.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
tavern, have everything
You always
ready.
have to have that tavern brawl in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm blown away, Rivers. You have 10 players.
Yeah.
That is just, that's crazy. Anything, I like 4, maybe 5 players, but 10 players. Wow. That's a lot to keep track of, bud. That's a lot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not even like DMing, but at my 5th edition sessions, like there's been basically like maybe 6 people at the table, and that's, I can tell that's a little unruly. Like everybody sort of has something, and I actually sit back a little bit and I kind of like listen a lot. Like I'm not totally, again, like I haven't played since 2nd edition. I've played 5 or 6 sessions with these people, so it's like a little more challenging for me to like jump in and kind of be vocal and those kind of things for that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like chatter going on
Yeah.
around the table, a lot of like I don't know what you call it, not misdirection, but like just people getting off the rails like completely. And I'm sitting there going like, can we get back on like the storyline? Can we progress here? Because it's like a slow burn, right? And it's not really accomplishing anything. It's just people making jokes and stuff, and it's like occasionally funny, but you know what I mean? Like it's hard to, I don't know how to, and I'm not the DM. I can't dictate what people do at the table, and it's not like I want to control everything, but at the same time, it's like, let's progress this a little bit. Like we've been in the tavern for an hour and nothing's really happened. It's like, can we move on here? Because the jokes are a little thin, and that's with 6 people, so I can't imagine with 10.
I
That's
agree.
even that
At
much
times,
easier.
yeah.
Yeah, I started with the group I'm with now. I've been playing D&D with them since I want to say 91, 92, or 90, and the latest spectrum in that was we had 4 players, and one of them passed away, so we had 3 players, and we were wondering how we're going to do this. So we had 3 players, so once they got enough levels, they had the ability to bring in followers. So they brought in a follower, and they each ran 2 characters then, and so we had six characters basically running through the game with them, and that's why I use NPCs a lot. And then when we switched over, I started a new adventure, and I call it New Beginnings, and we started with, I want to say 5 or 6 people, and it progressed into 10, because people say, oh, hey, my daughter liked to play, she's never played before, she wants to get into it. Sure. Hey, my other daughter wants to play. Sure. Hey, my wife wants to play. Sure. I don't
just
care.
Grew.
Yeah, it just grew, and I didn't want to turn anybody away, So.
And at the same time, I mean, obviously the game's going well and people are spreading the word and they're trying to get people in on it. And
Yeah,
I mean, that's cool too. So obviously you're running a quality game there to get that many people interested in playing at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's my whole goal is for everyone to have fun during the sessions. So if everybody's having
Number
fun,
one. Yep.
you're having fun, I'm having fun, you know, you beat the dragon, but you took some licks, you came out alive, but you felt like you were in danger. It's all good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you have to keep the threat level there. So as long as the threat,
yeah.
you don't have to kill your party. You don't have to kill people, but if any given encounter takes up about 25% of their resources, really gives them the sense of threat.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, a lot of times when my players get their level, I try and give them a good chunk of where they can actually feel their new power. So there's nothing wrong with a group of 5th level guys running into like 20 goblins so that you can see what that wizard's fireball can really do, and then they can actually feel the power. When you always keep everything exactly like the challenge rating is the same as their level,
Right.
they never really get to feel that they're powerful. So
Right.
you give them, sometimes I give them like a cakewalk, something that's really easy to go through, but or those encounters where the enemy is they're groveling and they're begging for mercy, and I'll tell you anything that you want to know.
All right, guys, give me 1 second. You're gonna have to take over the conversation here because I gotta brush someone's teeth and it ain't mine. And that's
Alrighty.
not a euphemism. I literally have to
No
brush my
problem.
kids' teeth.
No problem.
No problems. Yeah, Rivers. I find a lot of times with my group that I'm usually pushing them right to the point where maybe 1 out of the 4 players will drop, maybe 2 of them will drop. Sometimes there's that decision that they have to make, like who are we going to run and heal, and what do we have that we can take care of this situation. And I also like those encounters where they're like 2nd level and there's a hill giant that's coming through the forest towards them. They can't stand and fight the hill giant, obviously. They're just going to get decimated.
Right.
So they have to come up with something else. So then all of a sudden the ranger or the rogue starts really being able to shine, because now they can hide, or the druid or whatever, they can mask their location. And I find it's important to kind of give that moment for each character to shine. And how do you find that when you have 10 players? When you have 10 how do you ensure that each player has their moment to shine during the game? You must have to break it up over a few games.
Yeah, I do. And what I do is I try to pick 1 or 2 players per session to have pieces where they shine. Like the last session we had, we have a female dwarven cleric that she had studied with the NPC for 3 months downtime, and they were studying about a Yugarosh that is very powerful, and they were going to go try and find it. So this was her time to shine and go find this Yugarosh. And
nice.
So, and at other times I've had where the ninja had to go remove traps, and so it was his time to shine. Stuff like that.
Now, do you do like the old 2nd edition Oriental Adventures, where if you're a ninja, you can't really even tell the rest of the party that you're a ninja?
No.
And or is it open to the party and they know, hey, that guy's Snake Eyes or Storm Shadow, like he's a ninja?
Yeah, it's open.
Okay.
So, but like what you were saying is giving them different threat scenarios. When they were 4th or 5th level, they ended up in the northern reaches, and they came upon a beholder that had one of the items that they're looking for stolen by the guy they're searching for.
Ooh.
And we have a paladin in the group. The beholder's evil. The paladin knows he's evil. The paladin also knows that the beholder will light him up.
Right.
So they had to talk to the beholder and make a deal with him. And so later on, in fast forward, 6-7 months playtime, and they're 8th and 9th, 10th level, something like that.
Okay.
the beholder comes looking for them again because they broke their word on what they were going to do.
Right.
Because they found the artifact, and they weren't going to give it to the beholder. So he came looking for them, and they decimated him.
Well, yeah, at that level for sure.
So, they learned, they knew they couldn't defeat him before, but they've grown in power and stature, and they know that now. They weren't sure when it started, but they were by the time it ended.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I remember I had a character by the name of Red Versa, which small unknown fact, my YouTube channel was originally called Red Versa. But anyways, he was a scion that I took from, he was 2nd edition. I played him from 1st level until about 7th or 8th, transferred him to 3rd edition, played him till about 15th level. Then we went to 3.5, and he's at 22nd level now.
Ooh.
But at one point, I stole Black Razor, the sword, from the Zents, and we went into Undermountain, and I ended up almost dying in Undermountain. I lost my sword, and I was like to my DM, I'm like, I don't care what you have planned for the adventure. I'm going to find my sword. I'm going back into Undermountain. So eventually I had to make a deal with a beholder deep in Undermountain. I ended up getting is it called Enhanced Familiar? Where you can take like an eyeball as your familiar. So the DM had it. So I had a little eyeball by the name of Clotron, and the beholder that I swore allegiance to put an eyeball in the center of my hand. And so I can look into that eyeball, kind of go into a trance and see whatever my little eyeball familiar can see, which was fantastic. However, my life is tied to that beholder in Undermountain.
Oh.
So therefore, my character's kind of like a slave to that beholder, but be it that I'm a 21st or 22nd, I can't remember, level scion at this moment, I'm pretty sure I could take care of the beholder.
Yeah.
But we just play it like the beholder is all powerful and so on and so forth. And it's really fun. Beholders are literally one of my favorite monsters in D&D.
Yeah.
I love them so much, and I love beholders that have class levels and things. It's so much fun. Obviously, I love dragons too, but it's Dungeons and Dragons. Who doesn't love dragons, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another thing, going back to allowing your characters, each player, to shine at the table. Sometimes their shining can literally be, for instance, the bard that was in my campaign playing Lost Mines of Phandelver, the spider, who's like the big bad guy or whatever, had him put out a bounty for the bard, because the bard's backstory was that he was a literary bard, not a musical bard. So he was more like an Indiana Jones, and he had field journals and things as such. And he would give, instead of playing a song, he would give like an inspiring speech. And my player, but his name's Joe, he's usually pretty elegant with his words, just in general, like just having a conversation with them. So he really played the part very well. And he would always give these, like, to give inspiration to the players. I'd say, okay, well, what does your guy say? So then he'd rhyme off, some quote or some inspiring speech kind of thing. And the cleric in our group was a cleric of Tempest, and he played the cleric of Tempest almost like he was a berserker. So we're going back like 2nd edition style specialty priests, where he would incite this like blood rage, and he just more and more, and and I'd always have like the thunder rolling in the background as he got more and more enraged, and so because the bard liked to talk a lot and try and talk his way out of situations, he ended up gaining the nickname of Hippie Juice from our cleric. And it was like, oh, well, here we go. Here's the hippie once again, trying to talk his way through things, because the cleric it was always about the slaughter, right? It's a lot of times it was like, hey, does that guy have a magical item? Therefore, he must be evil, and we must kill.
Nice.
Oh yeah, and welcome back, Retro.
Oh,
he's back in the party. Hey. So we're just talking about giving that moment to each of your players during your game, that time for them to shine. And just like how with having 10 players, how Rivers was able to actually allow for 10 different players their moment to shine over the course of the campaign.
Right.
And
it's
something that as a DM, I believe that's probably one of the best suggestions I can give to you. Think of a situation and really think how that player's character or even that player's personality would deal with that situation and play towards that for them. Don't insist on them figuring out the situation exactly the way that the book has written it, or to accomplish a goal exactly the way that it's spelled out, or that what you thought they could do. You really have to embrace, if you're playing with your family, your child or your wife's idea that they have to overcome that situation, and play towards it for them, especially in that situation, and really make them feel like what they're doing is special and important to actually accomplishing the goal that they have set in front of them.
Right.
And that keeps them really wanting to come back and play, I find anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to give them a chance to shine. It's time to shine. It's hero time. So each character needs to have a chance to do that, whether they're a rogue or a paladin or a bard or a cleric, whatever it is. They need to have their own time to shine. And even if it's being eaten by I lost the word now, T-Rex, they fight their way out of it with the help of the people from the outside, and it's still their moment of shining is they were eaten by a T-Rex,
like Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, and they come bursting out of the gut in all their glory, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's hard with 10 players to try and divvy out chances for them to shine, but I try to do that each session. I try to pick 1 or 2 or 3 players to give them a little moments of shining, where the paladin created his own sword, his own holy avenger. That was his time to shine.
Yeah.
So
nice.
But
I'm pretty much in any campaign, if I'm alive, I've shined as a player.
Just happy to be there, Retro. You're just happy to be there.
Yeah, I'm happy to be alive.
Yep.
For the most part, like just from.
Well, when all this ends, I'm gonna have to have you over when all this ends to do it once again. I was hoping during March break, but unfortunately I got sick. But I was hoping to have you come over.
I was down there for a little bit, but
a good one-off that I had written.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was heartbreaking. You sent the message, I'm down, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sick, and I'm just starting my quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm better. Enough talk about that. I'm good. I'm good. I got 7 more days left here for this. Now that I've, but I'm good. Never mind.
But for just like taking a look at what you were talking about there, because I was listening while I was out of the room a little bit, and just how to keep people engaged and how to make sort of give them their moment. And I keep coming back to that, and I think I've mentioned it in the Discord, and I've probably mentioned it in other D&D After Darks. But in my 5th edition campaign, I was bit by a were-rat, right? And I thought that would be a great story, like creating moment, but it was sort of solved within like the next session. And I thought, well, at the same time, like there's a lot of people at the table. I don't want to make it about my character necessarily, but I thought that would be a cool thing. Like, people couldn't show up, and it's just like a one-off we could do, or where it became a problem, right?
Yeah.
And
that's exactly where I would have used it.
Yeah, and so you
Yeah.
could use it, and maybe it's just like a couple of us can show up, and it's like, hey, maybe that could be like the thing that we're doing on the side, and then we can get back to the main adventure later on, or whatever. And it was just like, it was like, well, why would you throw something like a were-rat at people with the understanding that if we get bit, there's a possibility that we would become were-rats ourselves? Why would you do that if you're going to solve it so quickly? It doesn't make sense, like, as a DM, to make a choice like that. If you're going to make that choice, then you better be able to commit to that storyline interrupting the main storyline.
All right.
That's what I was thinking anyways.
It's just so much fun to do something.
Yeah.
So much.
Like when I was bit, I was like, oh, my first thought was, oh, bummer. And then I was like, no, wait, this is going to be great. You know, that's what I was thinking as a player, right? Like, it's going to be fun. Like, this is going to be interesting or whatever, right? But because I thought it'd be like, oh, you have no memory of this, but you come back, you're covered in blood or whatever. And like, kind of, you know, it slowly like reveal that over time or whatever, right?
That's what I'd have done. I'd have taken it on a side note and, you know, maybe talk to just you privately and said, hey, this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then tell the party, okay, this is what you notice, and let them put the pieces together. And I would take a tangent off of the main trail or the main storyline and throw that in there, make you solve that maybe another way, you know. I don't know.
Have you ever had a situation where you took a person away from their character, basically? So let's say I turned into a lycanthrope, my character turned into a were-rat, for instance. And in that situation, just basically like took your character out. So now you're not something else, and you just make that person play that character, and you have to go sort of rescue or deal with or help or whatever. Is that like something that you would ever consider doing to a person if they're not even playing their own character?
Yeah, I love stuff like that. Sometimes it depends on the player, though. If you have a metagamer, for lack of a better term, you have this guy or girl that really just, you know, they're going to play to all the advantages of it and none of the disadvantages. Maybe not so fun. Maybe that would be more like, yeah, they wake up in the morning and their clothes are all torn off and they're covered in blood and they don't know what's going on. And then there's, you know, you get like your Van Helsing type person that's coming in hunting them and thing. They don't even know what's going on. But if you have a character that really just enjoys the role playing aspect, can really play to a flaw that their character has. Because myself, whenever I play, I love my characters to have flaws. I love low stats. I would much prefer that, so long as it doesn't take away too much from the game. You know, once again, you try and read the table, you read the room to see whether or not you need to go on a tangent or not. But as far as like having a player, yeah, I would that kind of thing. Ever since you mentioned it on the Discord server, Tabletop Dungeoneers Discord server, join it. I don't know if we've plugged that yet, but anyone
probably not. Watching, I'm not a very good host.
A lot of conversation. Yeah, Tabletop Dungeoneers on Discord, great thing to join. Got a lot of stuff going on there. Anyways, so it's the kind of thing where, yeah, you could have so much fun. You can have it when, as you were saying, if only one or two players show up that night, you can go that route. Like all of a sudden it's a full moon. What's going on? And then you always have that in your back pocket to bring out. But you can also have a lot of fun with it just creeping its way out. Like all of a sudden the guy's got a few whiskers and he doesn't know what's going on. And like, I don't even know if I would tell my players that they contracted lycanthropy until I was ready to pull that out of my back pocket.
Yeah.
And, you know, like they don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, you know, hey, your nose is getting a little longer, whiskers, you know, your fingernails are turning more into like claws, and you put the slow creep, and I'm talking like I could use that for months, just creeping that into the character and having them going, what's going on with my guy? You know, it's so much fun that you could have with that.
Yeah. That's the thing I was thinking of too. I mean, like, honestly, I understood what was happening. I understand iconic monsters or whatever in Dungeons and Dragons, like, because I did play second edition. I do understand ideas of lycanthropy. I do understand these things, so I knew what I was fighting when I was fighting it, right?
Yeah,
My
but when they roll their
character-
saving throw, you don't tell them whether they pass or fail. You just ask for a saving throw. They roll it, you go, okay. And then you just
Yeah.
keep going. You don't say,
Yeah.
oh, you failed, or oh, you passed. You don't tell them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
just
let 'em
get them to
wonder.
roll their save, and that's it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
you roll it for them, and
I
then they
think in
don't even have
our
to
case,
clue.
I didn't know if I had it or not, but it was basically solved. As far as I understood, it was
Yeah.
solved. Now, our DM has to change out because he's moving or something to that effect. So we're going to get the previous DM that we had who had to stop because he was getting married. And I'm sure that's not going to happen right now in the current circumstances. So
That's unfortunate.
yeah, so I think he's going to jump back in and actually DM if we can ever sit down together again and so on. But I'm going to suggest it to him, like maybe that cure didn't work and we could make this part of the, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to control
Or
anything.
going out and searching for the cure.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like, that's a whole adventure
Right.
on its own. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to add someone to the stream here. Welcome.
Sure, I'll be right with you guys.
thanks,
I just gotta run for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Thanks for dropping in.
Hey, thanks for letting me in. I just finished up my game for the night. So,
Oh, nice.
Cool.
and we're doing it virtual right now. So I
And,
kind of had everything set up and running already.
may I ask how you're going about doing that? Like, what are you using for it? What service or?
Right, we're just using Hangouts, and I use an alternate email address for my phone, and I hang my phone up on this thing here.
Oh, okay.
Over
I have
the-
one of those actually
over
too.
the battle mat. Yeah,
That's what I use when I'm recording all my pickup videos.
yeah, and I just hang that over the battle mat, and I draw like a north. And so they say I want to move like 3 squares north or west or whatever when we get into battle. So
Cool.
it's been pretty cool. There's some things you miss out on, or that I miss out on at least. When I'm playing or DMing, there's always side conversations going on when you have a bunch of people together. The actual
Yeah, of course.
social,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I really love that. That's one of the main things I love. But
So is doing this virtually, is that like a new thing for you, or is that like, is it because of this circumstance, or is it you've done that before and now it's just become the only way that you can do it?
oh yeah, no, it's definitely new because of the circumstances. I've always thought, D&D it's a social thing. You get together and play.
Right.
Like Monopoly, you get together and play. If you play like virtual Monopoly over like Yahoo or whatever, it's like the last time I did any kind of games like that back in the day. It's like you don't know those people, you don't know what they're thinking, you can't see their facial expressions or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Right.
Uh,
It's
just
kind of a
playing over
camaraderie too.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a fairly good replacement that we're even actually able to do this. If this happened, in years past, you wouldn't even be able to, have a session online at all, right?
Right on. Yeah, I am definitely thankful for the technology we have right now, and it definitely gets us a lot closer to that social aspect than we could have 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, or 20 years ago.
I remember on a
Oh, man, that's going back a few.
Still got the game because I think it might be worth a bit.
Yeah, really.
absolutely.
Might be. So, was there a topic tonight that I missed since I just joined in late?
That was at
Been sort of ad-lib,
my old
but-
bass player's Nigel at his house. He had the Tandy 1000, and I remember we'd go over there play some leisure.
Yeah, I remember that.
We just been lately we've been talking about how to have that moment for each line.
Okay, yeah. I definitely tried to build that in when I build a campaign, when I'm kind of looking forward and planning it out. I kind of plan out for each of my characters. like I've got a cleric of Paylor and I got a paladin of Paylor and we've got a rogue and a warlock. So I try to plan like the bad guys. I'll flavor them a little bit, like because right now I'm running Saltmarsh, like the Saltmarsh campaign. So it's it's a pre-gen campaign, but I try to flavor each one of the bad guys a little different to where each one of my good guys has an advantage.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I mean, that totally makes sense. I mean, if you're trying to engage people in your game, you have to have something that's going to appeal to their character. Otherwise, it's all for naught, right? Like, what's the point of that?
Right. So even using the pre-gen, you can just reskin it a little bit and make it a little better just to engage your players a little bit more.
Yeah, Rivers was talking about cherry picking earlier.
Oh yeah.
Is that cherry picking? Is that a term?
That's what I don't know. That's what I call it. You're picking the cherries out of like different things and building them into your own adventure, right?
Yeah.
So.
I just call it stealing out of a module.
I think cherry picking's easier to say, but
Yeah.
I like the modules though because they're especially Saltmarsh, Ghost of Saltmarsh. It's pretty good from the beginning. It brought a bunch of different modules from back in the past and kind of smashed it all together. And it was just pretty good just reading through it standard. And then as I've been running it, the first one was pretty much standard right out of the book, and then it's deviated so much to where each one of the individual,
Even the artwork,
little one shots that's in there. Oh yeah, it's pretty good, man. They did pretty good with the artwork. But each one of the little one shots, they're maybe 50% now of what they were actually written to be, because I've changed it so much just because of the campaign.
Oh, okay.
And just to fit what I know, what I think at least my characters want to see when they play.
So do you adjust like loot and all that kind of stuff to suit your characters? Like they'll find things that they need or want, or I don't know how to explain that, but
it's probably 80-20. About 80% I'll just give them whatever random crap they should find. And then about 20%, like if I hear a character say, "Oh, I need a better hammer," if he says that one, through one session, "I need a better hammer, and then the next session he's trying and he just doesn't even use his freaking hammer at all. Then at the end of that session, I'll probably throw him, some kind of magic hammer, just to make him feel better.
Nice.
So there's, 80-20. I think 80-20 is a good rule.
Yeah.
For just about everything in life. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. It's you try and tailor your adventure toward your players, but you also, you have an idea of where you're going with the adventure, but you want to throw them a bone, so to speak, to keep them interested and keep them involved. So
like your guys, it might be
Hey, I'm gonna step out here. I'm
Too.
gonna get rolling for the night. So I appreciate you having me on, Retro.
All right, no problem.
Thanks for having me. And
Figured somebody had to take over this D&D After Dark business.
It's nice to talk to you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming on, Miller. I appreciate it. We roll dice. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate being here. And I'm gonna get rolling. So have a good game.
You too, buddy.
Take care. Stay safe, man.
Thank you.
You too.
All right. That's a different perspective.
And it changes up. Eh?
Okay, as I was saying, guys, I'm suffering. I think I'm suffering some bad lag.
I can hear you just fine. It's just the video
Not
is a
sure
little
if
off,
what
but
I'm
otherwise, like
saying
what
is
you're
coming
saying,
through at
comes
the
through
right time.
perfectly fine.
Well, yeah. The problem is that I think I have a delay between when you guys are talking and when I jump in, so it can. I'll come in, but I need that pause in between so I don't cut you guys off quite as much. I think is what it's going to be.
Would it help if I talked really slowly?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we're okay. Maybe we're okay. It's,
Yeah, I
'cause
think we're okay.
my battery's still at like half power. So
Yeah, I can definitely see you lagging
But,
a little bit though.
yeah. So yeah, a little bit, I think. So what's you're doing Ghost of Saltmarsh? I've picked up that book. I've read through some of them. I'm thinking about incorporating a few of the adventures into my homebrew campaign, because I went from Lost Mines of Phandelver over to the Land of Nod, which is my homebrew world. Basically, I treat Forgotten Realms like it's Europe, and the Land of Nod is kind of like Newfoundland, yeah, up here. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's kind of like across the ocean. So I'm planning on using Ghost of Saltmarsh. Basically, when the guys get closer to the coast, because they landed and then they instantly came like mid. Actually, they didn't even take the boat. Sorry, they found a portal, and then they ended up going to about middle of the continent where they are. So if they head east towards the shoreline, basically whatever level they are, I'm planning on picking one of the adventures for that current level. It's same as like the Tales from the Yawning Portal.
Yeah.
Both those books I absolutely love for the fact that you can just take one of the adventures for whatever levels that your characters are at and put them in. As well, I own Dungeon of the Mad Mage, but none of my players have a desire to play that long of a dungeon crawl. But you can take just one level and throw that at your players. So those books I find very useful, especially even just to incorporate in your own homebrew worlds.
Yeah, you could use a level here, a level there, and kind of
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even if that level doesn't line up exactly to where your characters are, you can at least take that whole thing and just amp it up a little bit along the way. It doesn't take much.
Well, and as I was saying earlier in the stream here, sometimes it's nice for your players to do an adventure, or at least a portion of the adventure, that they are higher power, so that they can actually feel that power that they are. You know, like all of a sudden your characters get 7th level, they get access to new spells and new powers. And if all their CR is all around that same level, they don't really get the chance to feel how powerful they are. Sometimes it's nice to walk into that orc encampment or goblin encampment and just decimate the entire thing, so that they can just be like, oh yeah, this, I feel so powerful, you know.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Some of my players like,
you know, I did that
from time to time.
I did that with our game tonight. We were doing Isle of the Abbey, and I don't want to put too many spoilers out there, but there's a big beach that's just infested with undead skeletons, and they had just hit 5th level, so they got all their 5th level stuff right, and they hit this beach, and so they hit a few skeletons, you know, and as they progress along the beach, it's a few skeletons, a few more skeletons, and they hit these huge skeletal juggernauts and stuff. They, you know, so it gave them a lot of. I gave them a lot of little encounters, you know, one right after another, just amping it up a little bit more and a little bit more until they got, you know, completely wiped or whatever. And then they hit the shore and they could get up. And that's really fun. And I really like to do that, because I want to see too, as a DM, I want to see what you can do. You know, I like to throw little things at them.
I mean, yeah, you could probably read the rule book all you want, or and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, like you got to see what's possible, right?
Yes. And homebrew items. I love homebrew items.
Yeah.
I took something from 3.5 into 5th edition, which I'm not sure if 5th edition has it or not, but items that level with the characters. Like my Cleric of Tempest that's in the party, the Warhammer that he has, it is a +1 per every 5 levels. So from 1st to 4th level, it's a +1. From 5th to 9th level, it's a +2, so on and so forth. The only real other than that, the only real special thing that it does is whenever he gets a critical hit, it does 1d in additional damage. It does 1d6 per his level, per the level of the wielder, in additional lightning damage.
Ooh,
so it makes it so that one critical, he can just decimate something. But it's not too overpowered because criticals don't come along all the time. And it's just fun because he's Cleric of Tempest and he's a little bit of lightning and he just, I don't know, it's really great whenever he rolls that critical and then he rolls his damage and he's like 50 some odd damage. Finally, he's keeping up with Age is doing.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I just designed one for my Cleric of Palor. I don't want to throw it out there because he's probably going to watch this later, so I don't want to throw it out there what I'm actually going to do with it before he gets it in the game. But, yeah, I definitely like that. Like especially with like the attunement thing that comes with 5th edition. You can attune to it, and then you can just tell your players, yeah, this is what it's going to do for you now, but you can hear this, or it gives them dreams or whatever, you know, so that they know that in the future it's going to be more and more powerful.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an interesting concept because I mean, as you're getting more powerful, you're using some sort of magical item. It should come it's not leveling up with you, but it's more like you're becoming more powerful with that magical item. So its power should grow as you grow, right? It makes sense.
Right. Yeah. I agree. At least like artifact level.
Yeah.
Well, plus like I really love I love the Tales of Adventure where they have that item. That item, that shield, that armor, that weapon, and it becomes iconic and almost not necessarily character defining to the item, but I find that there's a lot of D&D where it's just people are swapping crazy. It's like playing a video game. They're just I got this, and don't get me wrong. I mean that's a lot of fun for a lot of people to find all this gear, but I generally play a fairly low magic type campaign in my homebrew worlds. It's like there's only one truly known wizard in the entire land, and anyone that casts a spell could be burned at the stake as a witch. Like the townsfolk come out with the pitchforks, and so clerics, their magic is accepted, but wizards, their magic is not accepted whatsoever. And so they could do something as simple as like a dancing lights or whatever the equivalent in 5th edition is, and the whole town is just in oh my god, you know, and the monsters, they can do just small magical powers to increase their. Usually what I do is if they do like a small power, then I make them do an intimidate roll, and maybe they'll get +2 to the roll or something because of the spell that they put out there. If it's a higher level spell, maybe I'll give them +4 to their intimidate or whatever. But there's only one like known mage in all of the land, so in order to allow them to have magical items that kind of scale with the encounters that they're going to have, that's where I like doing these items that kind of level up with the players.
All right, one moment here. If you roll a 20,
it's a critical. Hey guys, hey, I just want to say thank you guys for doing this.
Is he coming in?
He's
in.
in.
It's here. Yeah, I want to say thanks, guys. It's been hectic with all this stuff going on between my work and stuff.
I'm still loading on my screen.
Yeah, me too, man.
Can't hear him.
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah, perfectly fine. This dude's just a little laggy. He's on his phone, I think, and it's
funny because I got it going on the TV up here. I can see him, but I can't see him on my camera.
Stu, why?
Get your shit together, man. God.
So, remind me to Canadian. Remind me to give you the password so that you can upload this to the Discord. I went to go give you the password earlier, but I got busy at work.
No worries. I mean, it's going on anyways. There's only 3 people watching, and probably 2 of them are us anyways. So,
well, my cousin texted me while I was at work. He goes, "Hey, you live streaming tonight?" I'm like, But yeah. So, what are we talking about?
Let's see. Well, we were talking about currently. We were talking about just basically like loot suiting characters that are like if you're DMing the loot suiting the people that are playing. We were talking about like should a magical item sort of level up as your character levels up? Like does it become more powerful during
That's
that?
the funny thing. Speaking of that, in the new wild mount guide, there's sentience where like an item is asleep, then at the DM's choice it can awakens, then you attune to it, then when you get exalted it gets more powerful.
Yeah, they have some of those out on D&D Beyond too. So
yeah, and it's in the Tal'Dorei guide too, as like it's Matt Mercer's thing that he does.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, if you got the new campaign setting, check it out, man.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's really great. Rather than, especially as a DM, you can give them, a single magical weapon when they're level 3 or 4, and then just as they level up, it becomes more and more powerful. Rather than trying to fit another new magical weapon in there that they got to trade it out for and try to sell the other one, just level that one up just right with them. Why not?
Yeah,
it makes a lot more sense.
But let me see here. Sorry, Zero just messaged me. But
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's actually so. Miller, do you have the new campaign guide?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Do you have wire mount?
I do. I haven't gotten through it, man. I skimmed through it a couple of times. But
I don't know. I know last week he was taking a break from it. But yeah. HOBB Hero Hobbies. Let's see here. Yeah, he says you're live. Maybe I think he's trying to figure something out. But yeah, actually, I'm about done setting everything up for Roar 20 for our game. For the Lost Mines of Fandover.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yep, I got all the maps in. I got to put in the monster stats because I'm going to DM it. Cool. That way, I can show you old folks how the new age DMs handles this.
You sure you can handle it?
I think I can. But I don't know if we want on something like that. Do we want to stream it or do we just want to play it off?
I'm all about streaming it, but I'm all about streaming it, but I have certain restrictions on myself due to profession that I can't. I can't account for other people's behavior. I can account for my own. I can't control.
Yeah, same here. It's like honestly, if we stream it, I want to keep it PG.
Well, I think if you wanted to record it and edit it, maybe that might be a plan. I don't know if live streaming would be the greatest idea. As far as like, I mean, from my position anyways.
Yeah, same here, because I think you're in the same kind of position I am. Like, they can hold this against your job and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been warned already. Even though I didn't do it. I've been warned, even though I didn't even do anything. They're like, they found out I had a YouTube channel. They're like, oh, and I'm like, I have not said one offensive thing on my channel. In my other YouTube channel, it has like 600 videos.
Yeah.
So I've never done anything that would get me fired on there. So I'm pretty sure I'm pretty good to go. You don't need to lecture me on how to like conduct myself online, I'm pretty good to go.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I gotta turn on another light. I'll be right back.
That didn't look good to me. I don't know.
No, sorry, I don't really care personally about what I stream out there. I don't. Really, doesn't make a difference to me. I mean, I work for the government too. But, if I was to be involved in some kind of streaming,
that's better.
I am. I'm only catching a bit at the moment. I think that and my internet that I'm handle when there's whatever. Should you ask me a moment and I can hear it, but I'm only catching about half of it. Saying cutting in and out. Wife is streaming something on Netflix or something at the same time. I'm not sure.
So are you streaming on your phone?
I'll stay here and just know that if I cut you off.
I think we need to start a GoFundMe for We Roll Dice to get a computer.
Yes.
Well,
that might be a good idea.
Honestly, if you had like an old laptop, put a Linux distro on it, and bam, you'll be set. You can buy
I'll just sell half my basement. I should be able to get a good one.
Dude, let's see, Canadian price. Well, I built mine. Well, you seen the video on my workspace, right?
I did, because I'm an avid watcher of your stuff. I don't know about these bums. They could do
Well,
I watched this workspace thing, man. It's
yeah,
got a good garage going on.
My computer cost me, what was it, $900,000 to build because I just reused some parts that I already had.
Yes, I have seen it.
But yeah. So
I'm basically Frankenstein every computer I've ever built. So it's a Frankenstein monster of parts. And then eventually I'll go, okay, that's it. And then I kind of get like some new base parts, but then I'll chuck like the old disk drive or whatever, like the hard floppy disk drive into the new computer or whatever, and like pilfer parts from the old one and put it in the new one. And whatever I can move over, I move over. So
I did that for a long time.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, that's basically what I did. I reused the power supply and the fans in the case, but I replaced everything else in this computer.
Well, the fan I've got in the computer I'm using right now, this computer was like shutting off and it was overheating and all this kind of stuff. And then I was just walking through a thrift shop, found a fan that nobody had used. And it's a cool one because it lights up blue.
Ooh.
It spins and the whole
Fancy.
thing's not covered in dust. So I like installed it in the computer and now I'm back in business with it.
Well, the fans on my graphics card, get this. I have the RX 480 that I got at Best Buy. And the fans you can actually switch out. And they're LED fans.
Yeah.
So the ones I came with was white, and I bought some red ones. And I put those in, and I'm like, dude, everything else in my system's red. So I'm going to buy those. But yeah. But back to this topic. Leave it to me to put us off topic. But yeah.
Oh, you mentioned that you're going to run Lost Mines of Falandor?
Yeah.
Fandelver or whatever it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I had just, before I logged into this here, just before, I was talking to my group because we had our game tonight, and I talked one of my other players into running that.
Oh, cool.
It is.
I've seen a lot of it, on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. I've seen a lot of social media fandom over it, and it seems like it's actually a really good campaign to run. It
is the number one ran campaign for 5e.
Yeah.
And what I like is it's very easy. I haven't ran the essential kit yet, the Dragon Vice Fire Peak, but I really want to.
Yeah, and that's what I talked to the player that I actually talked into doing it. He had played through Icefire Peak, and he's read Lost Mines of Falandor, and he said that the plot behind the Lost Mines was a lot better than the Icefire Peak plot. So that drew me in a little bit more, you know.
Yeah. It's good. Now, if you just want another one, if you what is it? I'm looking at them right now because if you just want like a one shot that you can knock out in maybe 2 sessions, I guess like a 2-shot, I guess. The Stranger Things starter set is not a bad one either. You can either do that in 1 session or you split it up into a couple. But if you just want to have fun, like who cares about the rules? The Rick and Morty set's the best one to go. If you just want to have fun.
Yeah, I don't know. Those are both of those. You know, I'm sure they're cool and all, but they're not fantasy. You know, they're not that D&D.
The Rick and Morty one is. It basically, it's like you're DMing as Rick. Basically,
that's modern day cartoons.
Yeah, it's a modern day cartoon, but it's like a fantasy thing that he wrote. If that.
Maybe
that's sort of along the same lines as the Stranger Things thing, where it's like what the kid like wrote the campaign.
Yeah, wrote the adventure.
You're playing through the campaign.
It's a big old meat grinder.
Yeah. And actually, I read that one in like what's sitting in the royal office, and yeah, it's actually not a bad one.
I mean, it's all what you make it, no matter what it is. I think ultimately at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I just
if you find it flawed, then change it up the way you want it to look. Nobody says like you pick up one of those books and you got to run it the way that it says to run it. That's the opposite of what the whole purpose of playing Dungeons and Dragons, I think, is, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
To me, the purpose of Dungeons and Dragons is just sitting down, having fun, relaxing.
It's actually being meant to.
My campaign. Like one of my players tonight asked me, he goes, "Hey, what happened on Wednesday?" Because normally Wednesdays are we do our campaign. My campaign. I told him the way everything has been, it's probably going to be a while. You know, the way everything is right now. I'm setting up for 20 for our campaign and setting up for my friends at the TD group. He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, we really like playing at your house, so we can wait." For some reason, they're just obsessed with my garage, playing in my garage.
Sounds like fun to me.
Yeah,
it's a good thing, man. That's a good thing, man. If people like where they're playing, that adds to their playing experience. I've played in people's houses where I just felt uncomfortable just being there. You know?
Yeah. Well,
it's not good.
We only played 1 session in my garage. The rest out of this one of the players' house, and they like my garage because it's nice, roomy. And I thought my kids was going to bother them. No. And they're like, "Oh no, who cares? You know, if you got to get up, take care of your kids and stuff, go for it."
Yeah, sure.
You know, I'm like, dude, this group's awesome. Then, like, my son came out. I was holding him, rolling dice and stuff, and one of my players, and my female player, she grabbed my son. She goes, "Here, I'll hang on to him for you." I'm like, dude. But yeah, Canadian, how do you
set up
play D&D?
And a lot of times, yeah.
Kind of cut out audio wise there.
Yeah.
I'm going to. Sorry, guys. Hopefully, I'm not cutting anyone off at the moment because of the lag. Yeah. Sorry. I got the whole basement set up for D&D kind of thing. You know, I got the downstairs. Once the curtain's drawn, the wife, the daughter, they know not to come down. It's kind of, you know, my gaming sanctuary, the once per week. I mean, all this isolation stuff. But I think that comfort level, as you were saying, of the place that you're playing, right? You need that spot where you get in the game without distraction. It's I find sometimes as a player when I've gone over to other people's houses and then or they have outside distractions, work, phone going off, whatever else, it takes away from the fun that kind of sharing it. If you can have, as you're saying, when you've got that garage that you can go into, or if you got the man cave, she den, or whatever you want to call it, it's very how can I put it? It's very to that gaming experience. But on that note, to log out from the conversation now to the lag and whatnot that I can only hear about half the conversation. Unfortunately,
it's my fault.
Have to sign it later, but I appreciate Retro having me on. And
no problem.
Critical and sorry guys.
Miller, just call it Miller.
Plug your channel before you go, man.
Yep. Guys, make sure you check them out on We Roll Dice.
Yeah.
Kind of like waiting for him to. There he goes.
Oh, there he is.
All right. So
my head looks big like this.
Just like this?
Yeah. Hey, Canadian, could you do me a favor?
What's that?
Could you switch it to where it's like the boxes?
Like.
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry.
All right. That does look better, actually.
Yeah, my head looked like it was.
I don't really like that close up either.
I don't know. I just figured this out tonight within like 10 minutes. He was like, "Are we gonna go live?" I'm like, "Sure."
Dude, I
figured it out.
I want to apologize. I'm so sorry. I've been so busy.
It's not an obligation. He's just like he wanted to hang out, and that's how it started. So,
but yeah, I can. If you want to learn more about this, who taught me this? Zero?
I think I've already figured it out.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy.
It is. I thought I'm like, how am I gonna whatever? And I just jumped in here. I already had an account, and it was connected to my account, and I'm like, good to go.
Yeah, I was really just trying to join the chat tonight, and then it was like, pop my video up. I was like, okay, all right,
might as well.
On the video.
Yeah, I haven't even put a video out. 2 weeks now because of all this stuff.
No,
I haven't had time to film it.
My bread and butter is going to thrift shops, man. I can't find anything. If I'm not going to thrift shops, they ain't open. And if they are, I'm not going in there.
Yeah, I don't blame you right now. It's
the hazmat suit on.
Yeah.
Well, Miller, did you see that the governor of Missouri now wants us all to stay home?
I haven't seen that specifically.
Yeah, he just announced it tonight. Announced it, and I think it goes in effect the 6th till the 24th.
Yeah, I think he's a little behind the curve, honestly. But
yeah, he is. But I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, okay, but I'm an essential employee, so I cannot stay home.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I'm an essential employee, but I'm working from home.
Must be nice.
I have to say, you're a teacher.
I'm digging it, man. Like, honestly, like I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, that's really lucky to be able to do that because honestly, they could have just said, you know what, we got to can you for now, and there's no money, and my house doesn't run off of no money.
Yeah, same here. Like, I don't know.
And there's no extra income. Like, both of us are teachers, so if it was like no money, it'd be no money from anywhere coming in,
dude. And see, that's the thing I don't get. Is like, we're all three of us look grateful to be working right now. Well, I am but it's like a lot of people, like some people at my work, is like, oh man, I'd rather be at home. I'm like, dude, I'd rather be right now making the money, paying my bills, taking care of my family, and sit at home.
Well, it's not really about the money necessarily. I mean, sure, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But,
I'm just thankful I've got a job right now.
Yeah. That's exactly.
But where would you work with, like disabled kids, right?
Yeah, mentally challenged and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So where would they be if you weren't there?
Exactly.
You know, that's another way to look at it. In Retro, you said you're a teacher. You know, if you couldn't reach your kids through that online thing, what would they be doing right now?
Whatever they've been doing for the last couple of weeks, I don't know, but
Playing video games. My
probably.
whole life
Right.
prepared me for this.
Yeah,
and
I can't argue with that. I mean,
Right, but would they be really learning anything? Would they be really advancing themselves, or would they just be distracted by video games?
I think they're probably very distracted. I can't really comment on that. I don't want to get too much into it on this stream, though.
All right.
But you know, yeah, I completely agree with that statement.
Yeah, but well, my point was that with the technology we have now, at least
Yeah.
even though you're separated, you can at least play your trade. You know.
Yeah, and well, that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier in relation to D&D was at least we're able to do that at the very minimum is like do online sessions, right?
He
Because
is cute.
before, if this happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that wouldn't even have been possible.
Right.
You would have been trying to run a D&D session through ICQ or something.
Just text.
Vent. Nope. Back in the day, you had
North.
Vent servers
North.
or Skype. You had Skype 15 years ago.
That's true, but I don't know
Yeah.
what your connection speed would have been
Yeah. Abysmal.
Mm.
in those old webcams.
About like
I
what
don't
mine
think
is right
really
now.
worked out too well.
Yeah. So how do you? Okay. How do you guys feel about like how many homebrew items you guys give out?
I'm not a DM, so I don't know. That's easy answer for me.
Miller?
It really depends. I tend to not give them out unless I have a player like pushing for something over a couple of sessions. And then first of all, I'll make them pay for it. And if they earn it, then I will give it to them at a slightly lower level than they would have expected. And then it will become what they wanted it to be. If that makes sense. That at least ideally.
So it grows with the character.
Ideally, yeah.
That's actually pretty smart. I didn't think about that. See, I've only gave out maybe one homebrew item. That was my Dragon Dagger flute. Yeah.
I've given a couple others out to like since I'm running Salt Marsh, I give out a Ring of Swimming, which really all it does, it doesn't let them breathe underwater or anything, but it gives them a swim speed. So then they don't have to worry about having their armor in the water and drag him down and all that stuff. So,
That,
you know,
that's
really
actually
minor.
great. Isn't that an official item in D&D?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it is. I homebrewed it. I was like, hey, just
It sounds familiar.
wear
but-
this ring. You get your own, like your whatever your walk speed is. You get it as a swim speed,
Huh.
and it really helped them out as a character in the campaign. So
So okay. I don't have Salt Marsh. So is that just like Tales of the Yawning Portal, different stories?
pretty much, it's a little more streamlined into a single campaign. For the most part, like all the hooks and everything tie together. There are some gaps in there between between fifth and seventh level. Like there's no 6th level campaigns.
Okay.
I got to pull that out of my ass, but I got a pretty good one worked up. You know, so it's pretty close. Whereas like Tales from the Yawning Portal, that's really good. Like if your characters really want to go on a side quest or whatever, they get bored with the whatever plot you have going on, and they just want to go off and investigate something else. Yeah, you can pull Tales of the Yawning Portal out, and boom, you have kind of a ready-made little one shot for them, or 2 shots, or however long it takes. But Salt Marsh is a little more streamlined, though. I really like it, and I really like everything has kind of a Lovecraftian feel. And actually, like the first little module in there, it's really like Scooby. It's really like it's a haunted mansion, then it's not a haunted mansion, then it is a haunted mansion. And
Is that the one you made the book for?
no, that's like I think it's the third episode in there. Yeah, the ghost ship. That's a really good one, man. The salvage operation. That's an older one from like 2000 or whatever.
That book was okay.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Stu says, I do homebrew items all the time, and most grow with the players. That's a killer idea.
Deal, man.
Oh, wait. Canadian said that.
Oh,
Like,
I did just say that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea. You know, I did play for a long time where I was always watching my players, you know, what magic items each one of them had, and then as they leveled up, what I needed to switch them out for, and then how much money they got for the other ones, and I, you know, at some point I just realized it was a better idea to just give them one item, and then as they gain levels, that, you know, and you gotta play it for them, you know, they have dreams about this thing and these battles of ages gone by, or many.
You should go something like that in as a plot hook too. Like you could make it a part of an adventure that somebody goes and it's like, hey, they find out that if you use this with this magical item, it can become more powerful. It can actually lead to, you know, an adventure in and of itself. That might be an interesting way of also introducing it.
That's also a better idea. Thank you.
So, like something that starts out as a plain sword, you go on a quest, and suddenly at the end of this quest, the sword has power.
Why don't you see if Bubba's got any in that?
Yeah, or if you take it up to this, you know, special little fountain up on the top of this one mountain, and you defeat the dragon, and you dip it in the fountain full of the dragon's blood, then you know, then it becomes more
A flaming tongue.
It's awesome. I like that idea. Thanks, guys. This shit's gonna happen.
Right on.
Yeah.
Sounds like I need to start DMing.
Dude, I've never played.
You gotta play, man.
I want to.
That's so fun.
But one of my players is a DM. He goes, to fully understand on how to DM, you need to play it. You need to play too.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
That's true.
yeah. Each stone has a different power. Each stone's like.
I mean, that would be like a cool idea. You could have like different rune stones. You kind of have to pick what you're using, and it sort of sticks there for a while.
Kind of like a rune sorcerer.
Yeah, like, and so you can't just change it out willy-nilly when you're like, oh, I encountered this, change the stone out. It'd be like, no, man, you're stuck with it for a month. So you got to make sure you pick the right choice or something. You know?
Yeah. Or until you go on this other quest to this other island or mountain or whatever.
Then you can switch it
dip
out.
into the next fountain.
Kind of like in what was it, Diablo 2, where you could put runes in your weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could pretty much switch them out at will, though.
Yeah. But if you do that, in D&D,
that much power, you should have to
yeah,
do something to make that happen, not just add them in. You know,
Right.
like have special someone. Then you got to tune to the weapon each time you put a rune in it, and you got to tune to the rune separately. Man, it sounds like a hassle.
I mentioned it before, but in my my 5th edition campaign, the DM, when he first started, it was like, okay, you can have one magical item, and it's not from the book, and it has to be like underpowered, and it just does something quirky or interesting or whatever, and
A fart gun.
yeah, like, or something like that.
Blows bubbles, something like that.
Yeah, it was like someone just had like a loot that couldn't be destroyed or something like things like that, and he could use his loot, like he's a bard or whatever, he could use it as a club. Kind of thing, if you wanted to, so you could like double down as that kind of idea. But the item that I came up with for my character, because he's a cleric, was that he would take he had basically his holy symbol was a magical item in and of itself, but he could heal 1 damage with it for a person if they were like on death's door or whatever. He could use it to heal 1 damage, but in doing that, he would take 2 damage. from using it, because he's a cleric of Ilmater who is like about sacrifice and these kinds of things. So it would be like the sacrifice he was making of his own hit points to give someone else a hit point kind of thing. But two on the cleric, one for the being healed person. I thought
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah. I could see a lot of role playing going on just because of that.
Yeah.
You know, I gave you my own life. That kind of thing.
Ooh, that would
That's
be
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Like reverse vampiric kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, like in one of the encounters, what ended up happening was the barbarian, who was basically my meat shield, went and he was like forefront battling, and he hit the dirt, so he had 0 hit points. So I was right beside him, but I was already on the ground because I got like knocked over. So I just reached over, I used that on him. He got up and then basically slayed like the bad guy or whatever from it. But otherwise, we would have been like completely totaled in like a couple rounds after that if he wasn't up.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting, like use of it, where I was like already hurt, and it like basically took me down to like I think like 1 hit point. So I used it when I had 3. It took me down to 1.
It's risky.
Get him up so he could finish the guy off, and it worked out. And I was just like, oh God, thank you, because that was. But you know, that was it. That item there like added interest to what was going on, changed the dynamics of the battle, but in like its own little way, you know, like. And that's why I thought that was a pretty interesting item to have. It doesn't have to be the most uber powerful, and it can be a detrimental thing, but it can be useful in that kind of regard.
Sure, yeah, it adds, you know, that an extra level of, you know, just role playing and drama to the story. Yeah, and that's always key, man. If you can get that drama up, increase that drama for your players, that's awesome. I love it.
So you said you never DM Canadian?
I did for 2nd edition for like a friend of mine, Duke. I think I DM'd a couple of sessions for him back in 2nd edition, and that was in the 90s. So honestly, no, it would be the appropriate answer.
What's stopping you?
I still have to figure out the rules for 5th for the most part, but
The rules are just a guideline. Gary Gygax.
I don't know most of them. You know, just when they come up and play, I'll either ask one of my characters or I'll just flip to it myself. I'll be like, hang on,
Yep.
sorry guys, sorry, I got to look it up. Like with spells, especially, you know, because I'm very familiar with the like 3.5 edition spells,
yeah.
but I'm not very familiar with the 5th edition spells. So I always have I know what that spell does. Wait, hold on, and let me look it up because it's different.
My problem with being a 5th edition player is that I don't seem to get to know, and I'm sure it's going to slow down now, which is good, but I leveled up so fast that I didn't even get used to playing my character before I had new abilities that I had to deal with, figure out how to, like, how many spells to add, slots, and blah, 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 blah. And all that was, I mean, I find in 2nd edition, it's pretty straightforward. Like, my mage level, like, 1st level, you can cast 1 spell. In 2nd level, you can cast 2 1st level spells. Like, I get it. Like, it's very easy to figure out. In 5th edition, it's like, no, now you add this like ability to do this, and a number of cantrips, and a number of this, and a number of that. And I'm like, am I picking from the right pool of things? Am I, you know what I mean?
That's why I like the milestone better than the experience. Because that way the DM can be like, okay, session done. Let's say you went 3 to 4 sessions as level 1.
Yeah.
Bam. Okay, guys. Next, level up. I tell my players, okay, level up your characters. Next session, if you're a spellcaster, you're going to learn your spells in the next session.
Like, I feel for my cleric, I haven't even like maxed out what I was doing in whatever level, and then now I'm leveled up. Like, I haven't been like out of spells for the day. I haven't been out of whatever, like, to push myself to the limits to know what my character's bounds are, and then all of a sudden I'm leveled up again, and I'm like, now I got to figure out my character again because I've got these new added abilities.
Yeah, that's partially your DM's fault. but I wouldn't really say it's his fault.
No, it's my fault for
Like,
not knowing
if
the rules. Really.
Right. Well, yeah, but your DM should know what you're comfortable with also, and then drag you along to that. But I understand that.
Everyone's
But
like really helpful with it, so don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm on my own, but it's just like I feel like an idiot for asking, or it's like
no, I totally understand what you're saying.
yeah,
And in 5th edition, it's a little different, but it's slightly less than like if you were playing Pathfinder or 3.5.
yeah,
They throw it at you like you hit 3rd level or 4th level in Pathfinder 3.5, man, you get all kinds of extra stuff, and mostly it's feats. You stack those feats on. In 5th edition, it's a little bit less. They give you a little bit here and a little bit there, rather than a whole lot and a whole lot and a whole lot.
yeah.
But that's really just your group, maybe. Man, I would ask them to slow down just a little bit. Let me figure it out a little bit more. What my abilities are.
Yeah.
And
one thing I've learned,
I did that when we switched to Pathfinder. I did ask the DM that was DMing. I was like, can we slow this down a little bit? Give me a little bit more combat encounters so that I can figure out what I'm actually doing. I was playing a rogue too, so I had like fuck tons of options.
Yeah.
Things. So,
excuse me.
So that's just a little play thing. Not that I know everything, but it's just my opinion.
Like, one thing I've learned since I've been DMing, that a good DM always listens to the players.
Yeah.
And that seems to help me out a lot. Like, I'll tell them, okay, guys, so what did you like about this session? What didn't you like about this session?
Right.
And one of my players was like, you want me to be honest? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, then the next day he came to me, he goes, so can we talk about it? I'm like, talk about the session? I'm like, yeah, let's talk. And he told me that he felt like the combat was going too fast. There was too much. It was a while ago and stuff. I'm like, okay. And I asked him, like, what would you prefer? And he told me, and we started doing some more of that, and he loves it. One thing I found out, each player has a different playing style, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got one that's a power gamer.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, I take that back. I got 2 as a power gamer. 1 likes to role play. No, 2 likes to role play. So I got like 2 power gamers, 2 role players, and like I just lost my train of thought. It's been a long day.
No, I get it. Yeah, man. Everybody's there to have fun.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's feeling like they don't understand what their character can do or how far they can go, man, you just slow the pace down. And I think, just bring it up. As a good DM, they should be able to fit in some little lower level encounters and get more of that tactical stuff in there so you understand what those tactics, what you can do tactically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was it? Oh, one of my players asked me if he could play a female character. I'm like, I told him, you can play whatever you want. If you want to play a female, play it. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. It's a game, dude. Use your imagination.
Right.
So, like, we was at work, and kids just got into bed and stuff, and he was done with breaks. He pours out the PHP and some other books. So we're sitting down there after I got done with my paperwork, and we're going through his class and stuff. He goes, what do you think of this? I'm like, what do you think of it? I like it, but I'm not going to play it. You're going to play it, not me.
Aren't you the one that makes a cleric that doesn't heal, though? I mean, who are you to be getting advice from?
I got that cleric. You know what? I cannot wait to play that cleric. Honestly, I cannot wait. He knows healing spells. I have him prepared, but whether I use them or not.
Probably not.
There's some badass cleric builds out there, and I've always wanted to see a campaign that was just cleric.
Call him the 18.
Yeah, and that's kind of how my Saltmarsh campaign started out. Like everybody said, "Oh, we're all going to be clerics," and so we had our session serial, and they decided, one of them was going to be a paladin, one of them was going to be a celestial warlock, and one of them was going to be a cleric, And I don't see that there's a whole lot of difference other than the paladin. Man, she fucking kicks ass, dude. Like,
Really?
yeah, she one-shotted like she critted, like one of the actually on the ghost ship that I put up, the big bad end guy. She one-shotted him because she critted him. They snuck up on the backside while he was praying, and she fucking critted him right off the bat, and just took him out. So I couldn't take that away from her. She rolled the numbers,
Now, do you fudge your dice rolls every now and then? If it comes to the story, do you fudge?
Oh yeah. I will, but when it comes to like a character rolling like that, like they roll a crit off the bat and they max out or almost max out their damage rolls. Man, I'll give it to them.
Oh yeah.
I'll also overdo my bad guys damage rolls too. Sometimes if I think my character is just cakewalking through, I'll lay it on them.
You sure you don't want to put them up against 3 Medusas?
I've never, maybe I might. It depends. I haven't really looked at the dynamics.
Level 4 party against 3 Medusas.
Four characters?
Yeah, 4 characters against 3 Medusas. It's actually
level 4.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it, man. I would see you'd have to fudge that a lot to let them walk through it.
They was kicking.
I would see it.
My players
at least 2 of them being fucking turned.
Hey guys, I gotta end this right now. Sorry to cut you off, but if you want to continue, I think there's probably a way for you to do that.
Yeah. Well, what time is it?
It's like almost 1:00 here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here. I gotta get up in the morning.
Cool.
All
We
right,
can call it. Hey, Retro. Thanks for talking to me, man. It was nice to talk to you.
No problem. You want to shout out your channels or whatever it is you do? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Miller's Marvelous Miniverse. That's my YouTube channel, Facebook, and all that stuff. M3verse. That's my little hashtag that I use. I do a lot of crafting and miniature printing and whatnot.
Is it critical? Check it out. I know I haven't put out a video a couple weeks. Been busy, but I guess my channel kind of focuses on the tech for D&D and odds and ends and D&D on a budget.
And I'm Canadian Retro, but I'm over on AD&D Second Edition channel, and basically what I'm doing there is trying to find cheap minis, cheap materials, finding stuff in thrift shops, and trying to do D&D on a budget since I'm starting up. So that's it. And with that being said, this has been D&D After Dark, and I will see you all later.
Right on. If you roll a 20,
it's a critical.
Right on, guys.
Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome.
Bye.